I cannot even tell you how many people have asked me to do this because apparently this guy from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial reminds a lot of people of this guy. So here you go.
I'm an expert witness. I'm saying as an expert witness.
Let's start with the easy question then.
That was pretty easy. Go ahead.
Doctor, you're going to have to just answer the questions.
Okay, sorry about that. Having trouble getting into this side.
You need to just answer the question.
Okay. I'm not sure why we're arguing psychiatry, because I'm telling you what it is.
Dr. Siegel, you just need to answer the question.
Okay.
Mr. Depp fell asleep with ice cream in his hand. That's not vomitous, right?
I was told it was vomitous.
Okay.
It does fit just a little too well, doesn't it?
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for tuning back in. I have no idea what happened in the first part of the stream. We are lost complete connection between YouTube and my streaming software OBS. So, but right now we are back. So let's get back into the stream and continue on from there. All right, here we go.
My knees, and I just sit there and bounce them for a good hour or two till my legs got tired.
I will rewind back a little bit because we did miss out some parts after the drop off. The internet connection is now better than ever, so I'm just gonna go back.
And then whenever Leilani would need me to watch them, I'd watch them upstairs. I'd bring some toys upstairs into my room and let them play with it. Tell them, hey, that's your area. Don't mess with none of my stuff. You know.
Tell me about watching them upstairs.
I believe this is where we stopped.
They just sit there, play with the toys, want a whole lot of snacks, and of course I wouldn't give them snacks right away. You know, you ain't about to be all hyped up on me.
Does this include Sky, or are you talking mainly about Zane and Quinton?
Zane and Quinton, I didn't actually watch Sky. She was still, relatively young, like 3-4 months old, somewhere around there. So I didn't actually watch Sky, but I watched Zane and Quinton quite a bit whenever they needed me to.
Did you ever help them, and maybe not because of the shift you work, but did you ever help with getting them dressed in the morning, getting them fed, getting them bathed and put down at night or anything like that?
I bathed them once or twice when I was there, and as far as feeding, I would help with that, but it was more so when I was there, because I was working from 2 to 10, so they'd usually eat between 6 and 9 at night, give or take those time periods.
And you started saying some nice things about Quinton earlier, and I did not follow up, and I guess I'll do that now.
Mm-hmm.
What was your relationship like with Quinton?
Well, he loved me. I mean, he'd come up to me, he'd put his arms over my knees, and I'd just sit there and bounce him for a good hour or two till my legs got tired. He weighed a good 20, 30 pounds. But I mean, I loved him. I mean, I tell him to shut up. But I mean, that was about as mean as it got towards him with me, you know what I mean? But, kids don't want to stop talking.
What did your, during the time period that you're working at Eclipse and working the 2 p.m. shift that you've mentioned, what did a normal day look like for you? Not talking about any particular day, but just kind of give us an example.
I'd get up in the morning between 9, 10 o'clock-ish, usually, and then watch some TV, get up, take my dog out, let him use the bathroom, bring him back in the room, continue watching some TV, and then get ready and go to work. I mean, it was just, out of TV or playing a video game.
What about after work?
After work, I'd get off, just like I said at the police station. I'd get off, roll me a blunt, and go on about my day.
Tell me about the blunt rolling and going on about your day.
I'd sit there in the parking lot because I wasn't going to try to drive and roll at the same time, you know what I mean? So I'd sit there in the parking lot, roll. Then as I was driving down the road, I would light it up and smoke on the way home because my mom had a strict rule of no smoking in her car, so you'd have to roll down your windows to be able to smoke in the car.
What car were you driving around the time of the incident?
The 2012 Silverado.
Okay. What color is that?
White.
Okay. Is that the truck that was parked next to the Dodge Journey when the police arrived?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me what you would do when you get home.
I'd get home, I'd go upstairs, let the dog out, then probably smoke again, and then go to bed. watch a little bit of TV if I had enough time, and then go to bed.
Tell us about the dog. When did you get the dog?
I got the dog when I was still working at FedEx in 2019. He passed away January 1st this year from advanced heartworm disease.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and but he was my pride and joy. Loved that little fool.
You said what now?
He was a little fool. He was a little retard. That's what he was.
What? Pardon me. What was the dog's name?
I like
Rimshot.
this guy.
Rimshot. Are you a drummer?
I'm not, but you know that's a name from Ernest. Have you ever seen any of the Ernest movies?
Like Ernest Saves Christmas?
Ernest Saves Christmas. Ernest Goes to Jail. Ernest Saves Halloween.
And there's a character named Rimshot in this movie?
It's his dog.
And that's, okay, so that's your dog's namesake. Okay. I know you had told me before that the dog was named Rimshot, but I didn't know why. Okay. Where did the dog stay when you were at work?
He would stay, Leilani would watch him whenever she was home, or he would go outside and stay on the lead.
Okay. Out on the lead, can you tell me what you're talking about?
Long 25, 30 foot leash.
And what was that attached to?
A ground hook.
Okay. And where would he stay when you were home?
He would stay upstairs with me.
Is that where he slept?
Mm.
Okay. Let's talk about so we've talked about kind of your general typical day, right? Let's talk about the day before the police came to your house, okay? We'll talk about that day, October 4th, 20.
Did you sign it on mine? Did you respond with yes or no?
Yes,
The court is trying to take it all down.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right.
All right. The day before the police came to your house, did you work that day?
I did.
As far as you remember it, was it pretty much a normal day for you?
Yes, sir.
And is it not until the next morning that it became abnormal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's talk about going to work. What time were you scheduled to work that day?
I was scheduled to go in at 2 p.m. I had went in early that day. I don't remember exactly what time I went in.
And do you remember why it was that you went in early?
Because Leilani wasn't able to go in that day. And so Danny had texted her and asked if I could come in early, is what I believe was what happened.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 88. Can you take a look at this? Just read it carefully, taking a look at the phone numbers, and I want to ask you about it, okay?
That's my old number, and that was Danny's number.
The document that I just handed you, is that the text message exchange between Danny Youngkin and you
Yes, sir.
from October 4th of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Does it fairly and accurately depict the text messages that you exchanged?
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, I would offer this as State's Exhibit 88. No objection, Judge. Now, the first message on there is from who to whom?
The first message is from Danny to me.
And what's the time of that message?
10 in the morning.
Okay.
10:15.
And what did Danny say to you?
He said, "Yo, Dave wanted to know if you'd go in at 12. I'm at the dentist with Leilani. She just got her tooth pulled."
Young Dave wanted to know if you would go in at 12?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Dave Mullins? Or
Yes, sir.
Mullen?
It was the GM that was running Eclipse.
Okay. Was he your boss, or at least one of your bosses?
He was one of them. He was the morning shift boss.
Okay. And did you respond to that message from Danny?
Yes, sir. I said I'd be in.
And what time did you send that message?
20 minutes after I received it.
Okay. So from there, did you go into work?
Yes, sir. I got there probably about 11:30.
And was it a normal day at work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, tell us about finishing up work and getting ready to come home.
So I had got out of work. I went and sat in the car, and that night I had got stopped by a train. So I ended up getting home at 10:50 instead of my normal time, which was 10:30.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And that night, before I had left work, Leilani had texted me and asked me if I had any relatives, which was blunt wraps. And I had responded to her and said, yes, I'd be home in about an hour. And when I had got home at 10:50, I went in there to give her the pack of Rellos, and she wasn't there.
Okay. So you said that she texted you before you,
It was either a text or a phone call.
okay, and asked you if you,
We bring her a pack of Rellos, which is blunt wraps.
what is that word you're saying? I'm sorry.
Rellos.
Rellos?
Cigarillos?
Oh, okay, cigarillos.
Yeah.
Is that what gar means?
Mhm.
Okay, cigarello?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to approach with what I've marked in State's Exhibit 89. Can you take a look at this document and let me know when you're ready to talk about it? Take a careful look at the numbers and the messages and so forth.
Yes, sir.
Flip to the second page here, if you would.
My bad.
All right, do you recognize those messages?
Yes, sir.
Are those messages between you and your sister on the night of October 4th?
Yes, sir.
Do they fairly and accurately depict the messages that you exchanged with each other?
Yes, sir, and around the same time, because at that time, it took me about 30 minutes to roll. So I was sitting there in the parking lot for 30 minutes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would introduce this as State's Exhibit 89.
No objection.
I don't know, I know you talked about your general practice of rolling a blunt in the parking lot after work. Would you smoke it there as well?
I would be driving on my way home smoking. Like I
Okay.
said, that night I had got stopped by the train, so it took me an extra 20 minutes to get home.
Okay. So let me ask you, do you see this message here, this 9:46 p.m. message? All right, and that is that one from your sister?
Yes, sir.
And what does she say to you?
Can you grab me a gar on your way home, please?
All right, so are you still at work at that point?
I was.
Okay. Had you clocked out yet?
No. I had my phone on me, but I wasn't supposed to, so.
Oh, okay, I see. The next message is from who to whom?
From Leilani to me. She was sending a question mark afterwards because she always forgets to send her question marks.
Okay, so we got, can you grab me a gar on your way home, please, at 9:46 with no question mark, and then she adds the question mark a few minutes later?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then I saw it right as I was clocking out,
All right, and you responded to that at what time?
right before 10 o'clock.
Okay, and what did you say?
I got some minis in the car.
I
Well,
got-
I got minis, but
All right, so we'll read the message just as it appears on the page, and then I'm going to ask you what you mean.
I got minis. I got some minis.
I got some minis, and what does that refer to?
Mini cigarillos.
Okay. And where were you at the time you sent that message? You said you just clocked out?
Just walking out the building.
Okay. And what's the next message?
She said, okay, you on the way? I said, in a minute. And
And what time did you say in a minute?
at 10:03,
All right, and would you have been in the parking lot at that point, I guess?
getting in the car.
Okay. And then what was the last message?
Okay.
And that was from her to you
Yes, sir.
at 10:03 p.m. All right, so no more text messages between the two of you that night? And
No, sir. My bad.
So that brings us to your getting home and her not being there, you said, right? Tell us about your arrival at the house.
So I got home and I noticed that the Dodge Journey wasn't there.
Okay.
And so I had went inside, I had the minis in my hand, and I had asked Danny, I said, where's Leilani at?
Where was it that you encountered Danny?
He was sitting on the bed right in front of to the door going into the bedroom.
Okay. He's sitting on the bed in his bedroom, his and your sister's bedroom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you've got the minis in your hand?
Yes, sir.
And because you were coming to bring them to your sister? And she is not there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did you see the children at this point?
I did. I don't remember exactly what they were doing, but I know that Quinton was awake. He was in his playpen, and Zane was laid down on his race car bed.
Did you have any air? How do you know Quinton was awake? Tell me what you saw.
He was saying Danny. He was laying there, but he was saying Danny, just like that.
Is that something that he would do?
Yes.
Can you describe, like, was it just like normal kind of babbling from a child? Or?
He would say Danny's name repeatedly. I don't know if it was because it was easy for him to say, because it's only 2 syllables. Danny. You know what I mean? But that was one of the key words he said 95% of the time.
From your perspective, did Quinton seem to like Danny?
Mm-hmm.
Did they have a good relationship?
They had a decent one. I mean, Danny would get fed up with taking care of the kids all the time. But you signed up for it, brother. I mean, there's nothing else I can say to you. I can't sit here and say, don't be upset. You signed up for it.
So anyway, Quinton's you said he's laying down in his bag of play?
He was laying down, kind of, more or less. He was still getting, like, so he does a lot of talking before he would go to sleep. So he'd just sit there and say Danny or throw a little tantrum and then pass out, or it was one of the two. He didn't like being in a dark room.
Did anything seem to be out of the ordinary in that room at that time?
Not that I saw. I walked in there, told Quinton to shut up and go to bed, and went upstairs.
And did Danny seem to be acting abnormally?
He seemed a little agitated that he was having to watch the kids again.
Okay. And anything beyond that?
I mean, no more than his normal whining about having to do something he didn't want to do.
Now, how long did y'all interact with each other?
About 10 minutes in the bedroom before Leilani got home.
What was the nature of that?
Just talking. He was complaining about Leilani, which I was already used to, and kind of getting a little bit annoyed of him whining. If you don't like it, leave. I mean, it's not that hard.
Now, did you have anything to eat when you got home that night?
No, I didn't.
Don't remember getting anything to eat?
I don't remember it.
Would it refresh your memory to look at some text messages between Danny and Leilani about that, perhaps?
Yes, sir.
Apologies again for the technical difficulty. I don't know what happened with my internet. It just went 0 kbps with my OBS, so I think it's something to do on restream end. I need to stop doing this multi-streaming thing, because it'd be much easier to just stream through on catch-up call, so that in case we do get drop-offs, we can always resume back the stream. But yeah. This is my last time doing this experiment. This is my last time. I'm not doing this anymore. No more multi-streaming, because I wanted to stream to Twitter as well as YouTube, but it's becoming a hassle.
Can you take a look at that second message from the top?
do like him as a witness, but he hasn't moved the needle too much.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But does that refresh your memory as to whether you had anything to eat or drink that night?
I probably grabbed some Hawaiian punch.
Okay.
Leilani was a little stingy about the kids' drinks and food now.
Now, after you probably or possibly had some Hawaiian punch, what did you do?
Went upstairs, I watched the episode of One Piece. One Piece is an anime.
Okay, it's an animation.
It was 23 minutes and 42 seconds exactly.
And what did you do after that?
Went to bed.
He watched it on.
Did you come downstairs anymore?
I
that
know
night?
he watched it on
Did you have to let the dog out or anything?
illegal websites. I know
No,
that.
sir, not till
The fact that I
he
remember
woke me up
timestamp.
in the morning, needed to use the bathroom, which was about 8:30ish. I got up at 9 and took him out.
Okay. What do you remember about that morning?
Just hearing yelling, and I thought it was the normal yelling. Then I come downstairs, and next thing I know, the house is surrounded by police.
Was that before or after you took the dog out?
After.
Okay.
But it was kind of like during, in the motion of me taking the dog out, all the police was pulling up.
All right. What do you remember hearing?
Just a whole lot of yelling. I couldn't make out exactly what it was. I was still half asleep. And I just kind of laid there until I heard it kind of die down or move away from where I could hear it. And then I got up and took the dog out.
Did you have any interaction with your sister that morning?
Not before she told me that Quinton was missing.
And where were you when she told you that, as far as you know?
Downstairs in the parking area.
Out in the driveway?
Yeah, next to the next to the garage.
Okay. And what she look like at that point?
Complete mess, complete wreck. Trying to figure out where her baby was.
And what happened from there?
She had called the babysitter over to see if she saw anything, if she knew anything. And then the police was showing up at the same time as the babysitter had just showed up. And then the next thing I know, Danny's showing up.
And did you help look for Quinton?
Didn't get a chance to.
What do you mean?
By the time that everything was going on, we all got told we had to go down to police annex, and we was interrogated for over 17 hours by the FBI.
Did you, 17 hours?
Yes, I kept track of it because they were supposed to get me pizza. I'm still mad about my pizza 2 years later.
This guy's a comedian.
I think we saw you on some video bringing your sister some food at some point.
Yeah, then they bought the pizza afterward.
Okay. So you got some food that day in any case?
Yeah, because I bought it.
Okay. Because you bought it?
Yeah.
Did you bought it?
I DoorDashed it.
You're saying you DoorDashed the pizza?
After 12 hours of sitting there being interrogated, man, people get hungry.
Okay. So, regardless of whether you had a good time there that day, did you cooperate with the police questioning, the
Yes, sir.
FBI questioning?
Anything they asked me, I told them whatever I knew.
Okay. And did that continue to be the case over the coming days and weeks?
Yes, sir, even while they hooked me up to the lie detector test and everything.
One moment, please, John.
He took a polygraph. He took a polygraph. He was hungry. Stuck in there for 17 hours with no pizza. Oh, man. Damn, I feel sorry for you, bro. Oh, gosh. I feel his pain because my man paid for his own pizza and they didn't deliver it. They didn't give it to him.
Yes.
Do you look? I'd like to approach with what I've marked as State's Exhibit 90.
If you're tuning in right now, hey everyone, make sure you hit the like button.
All right, I'm showing you what I've marked as State's Exhibit 90. Okay.
And let me just say, just so that everything can be on the record. So Mr. Simon just apologized for not responding yes or no, and that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
think it's
Can you
been,
take a look at these messages starting from the back, actually, and tell me if you recognize them?
been admonished by the judge. Too much talking, most likely.
Okay, so these are not text messages between me and Leilani. These are text messages between me and a coworker, and about a girl that thought that I was making a rumor about her, and I wasn't, and she threatened to hit us with her car. So we all kind of dipped out of there really fast.
Is this something that happened at work on the 4th?
Yes, this was nothing related to Leilani or Danny or anything like that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, I would like to introduce this to the State's Exhibit 90.
No objection, Judge.
Okay, exhibit 90 submitted.
Let me just ask you this. On the last page here, do you see this message where this person asks you at 11:40 p.m. what time you going in tomorrow?
I said 12 because I was already planning on going in early regardless because I needed the extra money.
And that response from you was at 11:40 p.m.
That's why I was already getting up, but then when they asked me to come in, it made it even easier to come in without asking for permission from the boss.
Okay. And this was on the night of October 4th, right?
Yes, sir.
Were you already up in your room at this point?
Yes, sir. He had texted me after I had laid down to go to bed.
Okay. And was this your last phone activity that night?
Yes, sir.
And Your Honor, if I have not already formally offered 88, I would do so at this time. Those were the Paul Simon, Daniel Youngkin text messages.
I believe it may already be in. Madam Clerk?
That's correct.
Thank you.
And is that the case for 88, 89, and 90?
Not 90.
90 is just admitted.
90 was using it. Okay. One moment, please. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. So there's mention of a break. I think this is a good time for a break.
Okay, so they are currently on break right now. I'll just go through my notes in regards to this case as they are currently on break. Hold up, let me share the notes screen with you. Gotta think is this one allowed? Oh no, 1 second. Okay, cool. So so this is what I saw in regards. So this would be the 204 here is Arkwright Lane. So Arkwright Lane is where they would go to usually get the drugs. I think Arkwright Lane is here. I think it's here. No, that's not right. Okay, cool. Let's go into yeah. It's just down here. Oop. Yep. Sorry, it's just down here. So that's the 204 that they kept referencing, and this was where the Watsons, I think that's his name, Craig, and I forgot the other guy's name, but apparently because during the housekeeping matters, they were trying to keep out the salacious text messages where you can see Leilani setting up a meeting to have sex with Craig, which was the son of, I don't know the name, but it's I think it's the Watsons. But I remember the name being Craig. It was on this lane that they got the drugs. So it was on 4 Argyle. That's 204, and Burkhardt Road is where they lived. I think it's Burkhardt Mobile Homes or something like that. I don't think it's there, but I'll just stick to Burkhardt Road, and it would take about an hour's drive, which is why it makes sense. It actually does make sense why what's his name? I forgot his name. Danny Youngkin. It would make sense why Daniel Youngkin would look at Leilani in that way. That he said he looked at when they had just been to a dentist and she now wants to go to 204. He's like, wait, what? Why would you want to do that? It makes sense. And then when she went to 204, that's where she stopped. That's where she stopped off at Misty because her what you call it, her car had stalled or basically ran out of petrol basically, and she went at Misty's to get the petrol, which was corroborated by text message as Misty as presented. So she did not go for the jail as she has said to the cops on the 5th. We have seen her say this on day 3. This is now day 4. She did not go to Misty's for the jail. As it turned out, but she did get jail. So this is the difficult. This is the part this is the part of no return for me, because if you did not go to Misty's for the jail, then where did you get the jail from? It must be from either the convenience store or you already had the jail already. These things can happen at the same time on the same night. But the fact that she was adamant that it was Misty, that she was going with to get a jail and not at a local convenience store is where her story fell apart, and where she's now a suspect of this case and of this murder. Now, could she have done a managed murder? Yeah. It's very likely, but I'm trying to see how the state is going to really drive it home. I mean, they have already got me so far. I think that she had something to do with the disappearance, but who exactly is responsible for the disappearance? That is the question. I personally think it's her. But this is my notes. These are my notes from day 4. Let me look at day 4. So this is what we wrote down. So he was basically showing the brown furniture where he had sorted out, where he said that he stored the cocaine that she used to acquire from 204, and they were arguing back and forth in regards to this cocaine use. Why, I have no idea, but that's what was happening with them, that they were arguing back and forth in regards to the cocaine use, or should I say, what was it? I forgot what I used to call this stuff. I forgot what we used to call them. Baking soda. They were arguing over the use of baking soda, and who gets to use the baking soda. So, the Watsons, I believe. So it says so. As I wrote here, where on redirect, it was established that the drug store that he would store the drugs on the top half of the cupboard. He also explained that it was his surprise that she wanted to go to 204 to get the tooth pulled. That's what came out today on the redirect, and on the recross, it was established that on the recross it was established that he did not smell vomit in the house, which was pretty strange for me. I will admit, him not smelling vomit, but Leilani, sorry, no, not Leilani, Marion Simmons did smell vomit. That did strike me as a bit odd because who vomited then? So was it him that vomited from the use of cocaine and left it there? If so, should the police have been looking at him? I mean, he's not the one changing his story every time and then. So I can see why the police are not really looking at him as a potential suspect. I can see why they're looking at Leilani, because Leilani is the one that's telling this story. She's the one that's saying this story of how she went to Misty to get the gel and then came back from the gel. And yeah, came back with the gel. Yeah, so the court is now back in session. So let's just go back into it. Judge Tammy Stokes. So also we had dropped out earlier,
Yes.
but
Thank you, Ms. Parker.
this is the last time of me using Restream to try and stream both ways. It's just not worth the hassle
All right,
anymore.
Mr. Simon, please have a seat.
It's not worth the hassle. Let me just
And
stream
you are
one
still
way.
under oath. Mr. Simon, I'm sorry. Go ahead and have a seat, Ms. Simon.
I think the next recess should be the end
So
of the
we're
day.
back on the record now in SPCR 22-03364J6, the state of Georgia versus Leilani Marie Simon. Mr. Simon has taken his place once again on the stand. He understands he's still under oath. And Mr. Simon, you mentioned earlier about polygraph. There's been a motion in limine which your court is granting. Do not mention polygraph. I don't expect you'll be asked any questions, but don't volunteer any answers, any responses about a polygraph. Do you understand? Have any questions? All right. Is the state ready to proceed?
The stage is ready, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready to proceed?
The defense is ready, Judge.
That was a no-no.
You're fine, Mr. Simon. Thank you very much, though.
I like this judge.
Mr. Hilliard, I believe you had Mr. Simon on cross.
Okay, let's go to cross exam.
When we have them. Jurors, please. Thank you, Solomon.
Jury's not entering.
If you're just tuning in, hi. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out. If you're watching this back on replay, make sure you hit the like button. And if you're live with us, hello! Don't forget to use the chat
Good afternoon.
to
Please
discuss
have
with
a
us
seat.
on what you think of this trial. What do you think of this trial? Do you think she did
Welcome
it?
back after that short break. Did anyone have any discussions about the case? Did anyone do any research?
No. I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
And
but
with that, we will proceed.
it was
Mr.
just to
Hilliard.
get a map up. Is that bad?
Mr. Simon, my name's Martin Hilliard. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm pretty good. No complaints. I've got some questions for you, and I'm probably going to start on October 5th and work back a little bit. You were already at home on the morning of October 5th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you said you woke up, you went outside, took your dog outside.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to kind of approach the witness and show him the state's exhibit real quick. I'll show you what's been marked as state's exhibit 9. If you would, the upstairs bedroom that you stay in, which bedroom is that? Does it overlook the pool? Does it overlook the front yard, the side yard?
It overlooked the pool and the driveway.
Okay.
Because the way the bathroom was faced was towards the outside driveway.
Okay.
Then the room I was in faced towards the inside of the driveway.
All right. So, based upon what you're looking at right there, would it be above the dining room or the living room or somewhere in that area?
By the living room.
By the living room?
Right above it.
Okay. And so you could look out over the pool and the patio and the parking area, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this other bedroom right here,
Look towards the front.
towards the front.
Yes, sir.
Just trying to get an orientation. All right. So you were at home that night, around the night of October 4th, around 11:40. Was a text message between you and your coworkers that Mr. Dean was just talking about, correct?
Yes, sir.
You remember sending that?
Yes, sir.
Were you awake?
I was trying to go to sleep, so I was kind of trying to end the conversation pretty fast.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I was already laid down at 11 to go to sleep, and so when a text message came through, it kind of woke me up a little bit.
Okay.
And so, I was just trying to get it done and over with, but yeah, I was a little bit awake.
All right. Well, let's just talk about that. So, you were a little bit awake. Did you hear any doors opening or closing, or a ruckus, or anything going on at that point in time?
No, sir.
Okay. And I don't know because I don't know anything about the house, but if the door for the living room or the dining room opened or closed, can you hear that from upstairs or no?
You can hear a car door shut, but you can't really hear the door shut unless it's slammed.
Okay. So if the dining room door, the living room door shut, you wouldn't necessarily hear it.
No, sir.
And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but if there's a car door outside slammed, you would definitely hear that.
Yes.
Okay. And so, did you hear that at any point in time that evening?
Around about 11:20, I heard a car door shut, and it was Leilani coming back in from getting cigarillos. And I just kind of laid there and ignored it because I just finished my episode and I was heading to bed.
Okay. So about 11:20, you heard the car door shut. Now, in the morning times, do you hear when anybody leaves for work?
No, sir. Being passed out, I don't. After working, I don't really hear a whole lot.
Understandable. So, you slept through the morning of October 5th till about 9:30, correct?
I woke up about 8:30, but I laid there until 9.
Okay. And at that point in time, had you heard anything?
I heard a little bit of yelling, but like I said, that was an everyday thing, so I just didn't pay no attention to it and laid there until I heard it move away where I couldn't hear it, and then I got up and let the dog out. And that was about 9 o'clock was when I got up.
And you said you heard some yelling. What yelling did you hear?
I just heard Leilani screaming, but I didn't know what she was screaming about or nothing like that. I just heard screaming.
All right. And you were taking the dog out when that happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said the police showed up and Daniel showed up, correct? And you said that you heard the yelling and the police showed up, and you said that Leilani was a complete mess, correct?
Yes, sir.
How about Daniel?
He wasn't really phased. He didn't look phased. He left work in a hurry, but other than that, the whole time he was more worried about what was going to happen to him throughout the whole thing, from what I saw.
Okay.
I mean, 3 days after it happened, he's up in North Carolina just that quick. Boom, gone. I mean, that just strikes me as not good, not right behavior when you're supposed to be.
When they make an objection at the start.
Yeah.
Just a moment, I'm sorry. Was there an objection?
There was an objection, Judge. Sorry.
Mr. Dean?
Non-responsive.
This is Dan.
I
Mr.
just-
Simon,
Just a moment.
you have to let me ask the questions,
Oh,
and
my
you have
bad,
to
I'm
answer
sorry.
them, okay? So you were there that day, and you were there all day, correct? On October 5th.
Yes, sir. Until the police took us.
Right. So you said when Danny got there, he seemed unfazed. Okay. You said Leilani was a mess, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you answer all the questions that were put to you that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm curious, at this point in time, how long had you known Daniel Youngkin?
About 4 months. All I really knew about him before that was that he was the one of Leilani's baby daddies. That's all I knew about him before that.
All right. So, and when did you move into the house on Buckhalter Road?
In about April, right after my birthday.
So, April of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this was in October of 2022, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and I guess when you moved in, Danny and Leilani and the kids were already there.
Yes, sir. They were.
Okay. Now, did you ever notice Danny and Leilani either using drugs or drinking?
Danny drunk every day.
Right.
He'd be riding down the road drinking a Fireball, a little shot, consistently every day.
All right. And you know, not being judgmental, but and Leilani smoked,
Yep, smoke weed.
and you did too. Did you ever see him do anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. And if anything else was done,
I would have told my mom.
okay. So that was not something you knew about.
No, sir. And I believe Leilani knew that, and that's why she constantly tried to hide it from me. That she was doing something that she didn't want me to know of.
Okay. And same thing for Danny, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So, was it uncommon for the back door? And again, if you don't know, that's fine. But how did you normally come in and out of the house when you?
Through the back door.
Okay. And was that pretty much how everyone entered the house?
Yes, sir.
Was it uncommon that those doors would be unlocked?
Normally, since I was the one that got off work, the last one to be home, it would be locked whenever my stepdad would be home. But if it was everybody else, I would be the one that locked the door before I went up to bed.
So, and that's kind of what I was getting to. Normally, you were the one who locked the door when you came in at night,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And do you have any recollection doing so this particular night, the
Yes,
night of
sir.
October 4th?
I locked it when I came in, and I had went in and talked to Danny, and then went to bed.
And again, not being judgmental, but you smoke blunts. Do you smoke cigarettes, Paul?
I used to.
When did you quit?
About 3 years ago when I started vaping.
So you gave up cigarettes and started vaping.
Yes, sir.
How about Leilani? She smoked cigarettes?
Yes, sir.
And how about Danny?
Yep.
And whenever they were smoking at the house, where would they normally go to smoke?
Either the front or the back.
Were there ashtrays out there?
There was ashtrays in the back on the back porch, and there should have been one on the front porch. But Leilani started smoking after a few months of them moving down in that room.
Now, you said you came in the night of October 4th, and you saw Quinton, Zane, and Sky.
Guy was in the little swing thing, that's where she kind of just slept in that. Zane was in his race car bed in the corner of the wall, and Quinton was right at the foot of the bed in the playpen.
And they were all good at that point in time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And had you ever seen, you said Danny seemed agitated when you got home. Anything abnormal, or was it just his normal?
It was just his normal whining and complaining, but he just, like I said, he just seemed a little bit more agitated. But I was like, don't worry, man. She's going to be back here in a while.
Right.
She just rode up the road.
Did you ever see Leilani that evening?
I did not. I had already went to bed before I had saw her.
All right. And did you ever hear them two arguing or bickering at any point in time that evening?
No, sir.
That's all the questions I got, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Simon.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dean, any redirect?
One moment, please. No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Simon, is there any reason not to excuse Mr. Simon?
Not on behalf of Ms. Simon, no.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Simon, you are excused, sir.
Okay, that was the defendant Paul Simon done. He was actually a great, defendant's brother Paul Simon. He's done, but he was actually a great witness. I'm not gonna lie, I liked him. I liked him.
Okay.
I think they're gonna talk. So, nothing much moved the needle outside of that, except that he just confirmed how everyone was on that day. I think there was a part of him that obviously wants to protect his sister, so parts of that came out during the hearing testimony. I'm sure you got to know.
In the trial of this issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Wonder who this witness is. Oh, she's pretty.
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Melanie Bowling. I am 28 years old, and I'm a mama.
What is your city and state of residence? What town do you live in?
Glenville, Georgia.
And how long have you lived in Glenville?
Going on 8, almost 9 years now.
Okay. Are you a little nervous this afternoon?
I am, I'm sorry.
I'm always a little nervous in court too. It's all right. If you need a break at any point, just let me know. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you know the defendant?
I do.
How do you know her?
She used to live in the same neighborhood as me.
In Glenville, I presume?
Yes.
Okay. When you met her, how many children, if any, did she have at that point?
When I first met her, she had no kids.
Okay. And how did you meet her?
I met her through her ex-boyfriend, Cody Warden, which is her first child's father. I met him first because he lived out there and they started dating, and that's how I met her. And I looked at her and him as like little siblings that I wanted to help guide in the right direction. But that's how I met her.
And did you all live near one another for a period of time?
We did. We were right next door for a period of time, and then there was a period of time where she lived like walking distance from where I lived.
Okay. And then at some point, did she move away from Glenville?
Yes.
Okay. At the time that she moved away, did she have any children?
Yes, she had Zane.
Okay. So the time that she moved in near you would have been sometime shortly before Zane's birth?
Yes, it was about maybe 6 months or so before she got pregnant with him.
Before she got pregnant?
Yes.
And then was she living next to you, or next door to you during her pregnancy?
Yes.
And did she continue to live next door to you during the time that she actually had Zane?
Well, down a little bit, down the dirt road a little bit, but yes, it was still in the same neighborhood.
Okay, so you're saying by the time she had Zane, she had moved walking distance away?
Yes.
Was no longer right next door?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about this. Let's kind of take chunks of time. Tell me about the nature of your relationship with her before she ever had Zane.
Well, I mean, you know, like I said, Cody, I met him first, and he was going through a hard time. So, like, my husband and I took them in as, you know, took him in as like a little brother to help guide in the right direction. She started dating him, and, you know, I got good vibes from her at first. You know, I never suspected anything bad, and I kind of try to guide her in the right direction too. She ended up falling pregnant, and when she did, she was young, and I can relate to that because I was a teen mom myself. So I wanted to help her in any way possible to, you know, with her child and be that support.
Were you friends with her during her pregnancy with Zane?
I was.
And did you remain friends with her after she gave birth to Zane and had him as a newborn?
I did, yes.
And did you all spend time together during both of those time periods?
Yes.
Did you spend time with her around both her and Zane?
Yes.
Okay. Were you all still living in the same town at the time she gave birth to Quinton?
No. Well, I was, but she wasn't.
Okay. Can you tell me where she was and when she had left in relation to when she had Quinton?
So I know her and Cody moved to Alabama. That happened, and then I guess they broke up. She came back to Georgia to, I think, Waycross or somewhere, wherever Bubba Moss is from.
Waynesboro, sound right?
Waynesboro, yes, sir. I'm sorry, I get those mixed up.
Yes, ma'am.
And she came back and she was staying with him in a camper, and she fell pregnant. They split up, and she went back to Alabama, and Cody helped her.
And you've talked about your contact with her during the time she lived near you.
Yes.
Right? In the same town.
Yes.
Did you all have daily or near daily contact at that point?
When she was pregnant with Quinton, we had it was about almost every other day, if not weekly.
Well, I want to ask specifically about when she lived in the same town as you.
Yes, every day.
Okay,
Yes,
every
sir.
day at that point.
Yes.
And then after she moved, and I understand it sounds like she bounced around a little bit.
She did. And
What was the nature of your contact with her after she moved away from Glenville?
text message and phone call, FaceTime.
And how frequently did you say that you would have contact with her?
So when she got with Bubba, it kind of drifted off a little bit, and I don't know why. I can't tell you why, but we drifted off a little bit, and then she would, you know, be contact out the blue. She'd call me, I text her, I call her, she texts me, vice versa, just to see how we are doing, you know. I always checked in on her to see if she was doing okay, if the kids were okay, how they're doing, how big they're getting, you know, stuff like that.
Did you talk to her on the phone regularly during her pregnancy with Quinton?
Yes.
About how often?
She updated me, like, with every appointment that she had.
Did she talk to you during those phone calls about things that were going on in her life?
Yes.
And tell me again how you viewed the nature of your relationship with her.
I viewed her, like I said, as a little sister that I wanted to help guide in the right direction.
So you were close.
Yes.
During her pregnancy with Quinton, where you're having this regular telephone contact with her,
Mm-hmm.
Did it include calls?
Yes.
Did it include text messages?
Yes.
Did it include FaceTime?
Yes, a couple times so I could see Zane.
Did you ever catch up over fairly long phone calls, or are we talking about like 1 or 2 minute things?
No, these were like hour-plus long phone calls.
And that's during her pregnancy with Quinton?
Yes.
During that type of contact that you described, did she talk to you about the state of her relationship with Quinton's father, Henry Bubba Moss Jr.?
It was rocky. They were fighting a lot. Then was a time where they did break up, and she was depressed. Made some comments to me that were concerning, but they fought a lot.
Like, what kind of comments?
The comments that, which I, at the time, wanted to think maybe she was like depressed and going through something. That was my thought process, but thinking of it now, I don't know. But she would say how she wished maybe if I didn't have Quinton, if I would have had the abortion like Bubba wanted me to, he would still be here.
Now, is that something she said to you after Quinton had been born?
She has mentioned it after and while she was pregnant, yes.
Okay. And how did you react to those kind of comments?
It shocked me. I mean, I was like, like what? Coming with, I have 3 kids myself. I'm not the one to judge, someone on abortions and stuff, but she didn't want to have one, and that's on her, okay? But I did not. It was really shocking. I didn't agree with it, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
I want to ask you a couple more questions about those kind of remarks.
Yes.
You said that she made those remarks both before Quinton was born and after Quinton had been born?
Yes.
Roughly how many times would you say you remember her saying things like that?
Off the top of my head, but while she was pregnant with him and right after he was born, I'd say about 2 or 3 times.
Okay. And you said that the nature of the comment was, maybe if I had had the abortion, Bubba would still be with me. And that was a remark she made both before Quinton was born and after he was born.
Yes.
Can I conclude from that then that Bubba had already left her before Quinton was born?
Yes.
There's at least, sounds like 1 or 2 times where she said this, like, while Quinton was a newborn.
Yes. A newborn and while he was older, too.
Now, I want to kind of move forward in time. Did you remain in contact with her to one degree or another over the phone throughout Quinton's short life?
Yes.
Okay. And let's say from, between Quinton's birth to October of 2022, how often would you say you were in contact with her during that time frame? And I understand it's like a year and a half.
Yes. So, I'm trying to think. So she came to my son's party in 2019 with Danny. I asked her to bring the boys, and she said that her mom had them. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to remember.
No, it's fine.
What was the question again, sir?
Okay. About how often were you, let's just talk about, I don't know, the year leading up to October of 2022.
Okay.
When Quinton is no longer a newborn, okay?
Yes.
How often would you be in contact with her at that point?
At that point, so it could be weekly sometimes, and then it would jump from weekly to monthly, and then I would have to be in contact with her. I would sometimes not get any contacts back for a few months. Then it come out the blue, she'll contact me, and we can go from talking to each other for like 2 weeks straight, and then there'd be gaps again.
But in any case, it sounds like you never cut off contact completely.
No.
And would you, during this time frame, would you still sometimes have these long, extended phone conversations with her?
We did.
And would she talk to you about things that were going on in her life?
Yes.
And could you hear the children in the background at times?
Always.
Was there ever a time on any of these calls that you heard anything concerning directed towards Quinton?
I mean, besides, may I repeat what was said? It's cursing. Or should I blurt it?
Whatever your response is, you may give it.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted your permission.
So the rules here are, if you're, quoting, we would ask that you not just like insert your own
No,
But
I just
first-
want hit
but-
what
but
she
if-
exactly
If
said.
you're quoting somebody, yeah, tell us what you heard.
Okay. There's been times when she has been getting on to Quinton, saying, "Will you get the fuck down, you stupid little shit?" She will call them assholes, you little assholes. I told you to go do this. Now go do what the fuck I said before I beat your ass.
Oh, come on.
Called him a bastard child out of anger. I guess he was doing something like climbing on the table, and she told him to get down several times. And she's like, this is why I wish I never had you, wish I would have aborted you, and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. This is a killer
And I
blow.
just
This
wanna
is a
make it
killer
clear
blow.
that circumstance-
She's pissed. She knows. She knows.
Are you physically present with her when you're hearing these things?
No, sir.
You're on the phone with her.
Yes.
And you hear her saying these things over the phone.
Yes.
Let's kind of break these things down. You said something about her calling him a bastard child and saying
Yes.
something about his dad.
Yes.
Tell us what you remember about that.
I know when she would get really frustrated with him that she can be unpredictable and say things very harshly that a normal mother would not say. And about, I wish I never had you. Wish I would have had an abortion. I wish I never had your dad. Got with your dad, so I would have never had you. Stuff like that.
And are you sure she was referring to Quinton?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
Because she would yell, "Quinton, what the fuck did I just tell you?" And then go on with what I just said.
I think you also mentioned asshole or something.
Yes, asshole. For him acting like a 15-year-old acting, or a 15-month-old acting like an asshole.
Could you tell over the phone what he was doing, or if anything, or what was going on that caused her to have these outbursts?
I could hear the kids playing, screaming, running around, like what kids do. I have 3 kids myself, 2 boys and a daughter. So boys being boys, they get rough with each other. And, that happens, okay? But instead of hey, you guys can keep your hands to yourself, time out and do the separate them or whatever, she would start cussing and snapping and yelling and calling names. Now,
how would you react, if at all? I don't know whether you...
I was speechless, sir. I would try to be like, hey, calm down. You're just mad. You don't need to be saying those kinds of things. You don't mean it, thinking, she didn't mean it. That was my assumptions. Okay. But I would try to calm her down and be like, hey, chill out. Take a breather. They're just kids. They're little kids. This is going to happen.
Game over.
Did you
I'm
ever...
sorry. It's not coming back from this.
Hear anything that
I
sounded...
wanna
You've talked about... What you've talked about to this point, would you characterize it as verbal abuse?
Yes, and I've heard her whip them, but I can't, like I said, it's whoopings, so I don't know if she's using her hand on their butt. I don't know what she's using. It's on the phone call.
Okay, so for that, you're saying you can't say whether it was or was not reasonable parental discipline?
Exactly.
But you've heard stuff like that?
Yes.
Did overall, based on all your interactions with her and all your observations, did you develop the impression that she felt differently about Quinton than she did about Zane?
Yes, because every time I would speak to her, she would always speak highly about Zane and her youngest one after she was born, but never about Quinton, even though he was the sweetest little thing ever.
This
What
explains.
kind of things would she say about Zane? What kinds of things say this?
Talking about how well he is, how smart he is, how he knows his ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, so on and so forth. The potty training, stuff about Cody and her, just talking highly about him and how good he's doing from when I last seen him as a little baby.
And do you remember hearing anything like that about Quinton?
No.
Just to be clear, did you ever yourself physically meet Quinton?
I have never physically met Quinton, no.
And is that because you all didn't? You all had already. She had moved
Despised,
away
right.
at the time before she had.
But yes, I have FaceTimed him after he was born and seen him. I FaceTimed him and Zane and Sky when she was a little baby too.
One moment, please.
Yes.
I will take this opportunity to say this explains why she never mentioned Quinton in that suicide or that unaliving video that she did for Danny. This explains so much. This was a testimony I was waiting for, but I didn't think it would be this incisive. That's it. Okay, let's see how you clean this up. Cross-examination. Let's see how you clean this up, because boy, did she wreck
You said
the
that you
case.
met Miss Simon in 2019 with Danny.
No, I met her in 2017, 2018 when she was dating Cody.
All right. Well, maybe I misheard. You said you met her in 2019 at a birthday party with Danny.
She brought Danny to my son's birthday party that I invited her and her children to come to in 2019.
Okay, so you're saying that Danny Youngkin attended a birthday party with you in 2019 with Miss Simon, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that's the hill you're going to die on.
I believe that was Danny, yeah. That's who it looked like.
Are you aware that she didn't meet Mr. Youngkin until 2020?
Say that's not what I'm not aware of. I say because she brought that man to my birthday party.
Well, you just sat here under oath and said it was Danny Youngkin.
That's what she told me, that was his name, Danny, that she was bringing through messages on Facebook Messenger, sir.
Ms. Bowling, when was the last time you actually physically... Oh, let me ask you this. When did you ever physically meet Quinton Simon?
I never physically met him.
Okay. So in 20 months of his life, you never once saw him in person, correct?
Correct.
Right. And when was the last time prior to that you had met and hung out with Miss Simon?
Prior to his birth?
His birth.
Okay. Prior to his birth was the birthday party, 2019.
Okay. So at least 2.5 years prior, well, maybe a year and a half prior to his birth then?
Well, actually, that was, roughly, yeah.
Okay. So at that point in time, had Zane been born?
Yes.
Okay. So, now you said that originally y'all would talk every day.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was weekly, then it was every other week, then it was monthly, then it was every few months, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Not really a strong friendship there, is it?
Well, sir, we did have a very strong friendship, but again, like I've said before, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, and the path she was going down was a path that I clearly could not help her out.
Miss Bowling, you and Miss Simon started smoking weed together in 2017, so let's not pretend this is some sort of Sunday school
You're
thing.
right, sir, okay? But the thing is, I never done cocaine, I never did ecstasy, nor pills.
Okay.
That was in 2017, sir.
That was.
That was a long time ago. And I don't anymore.
Okay. Well, congratulations to you. And that being said,
Walk away, man.
was that the reason y'all hung out, was to smoke weed?
No. The reason maybe for her, because she likes to use people, but to me, it was, hanging out with Cody, helping him get back on his feet because of what he had to endure and go through at that time, which is a different matter from this court.
You have some rather unique beliefs, don't you, Miss Bowling?
Beliefs.
Yes.
Can you define that, please, or elaborate it for me, please?
I can. Do you remember meeting with Mr. Dean on August 13th of this year?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember telling him about some experiences you had on August 13th and conveying those to him?
Yep.
Okay. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you not tell him that you had communed with Quinton Simon's ghost?
Yes. And if you would like, I can actually do it here and show you guys.
Oh, please, by all means. I would love to see this.
Give me a holy Bible and a candle, and yes, sir.
So, that being said, you told Mr. Dean this, correct?
I sure did.
And you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, your husband videotaped the seance, correct?
He did.
And anytime I'm making a misstatement as to what you said that Quinton Simon spoke to you through a candle.
He spoke to me through images.
Okay.
Okay, when I was in my trance, I couldn't see anything except for what he was showing me and what he was telling me as a 15-month-old could do.
Okay. And so he was a 15-month-old ghost speaking to you. Please tell me about this. I would love to hear it.
Okay, so this is what I did, and I lit my candle, had my Bible out, and I prayed. I asked if I could reach out to Quinton Simon. And here he comes, behold. Do I see him physically? No. But here he is, and he is Mama Mel. That's what I was always called by them. Mama Mel, help me. I said, with what? I said, help me help you. What happened? He said, Mommy hurt me. I asked him, how did he hurt you? Or how did she hurt you? Sorry. And he told me, she hit me in the head really hard. I said, okay. I was like, what else? And I said, did you, get any candy, thinking maybe he got into drugs or something? And he said, no. I said, okay, where are you? And he threw me the star of the church that's next to the landfill, on that dirt road right there next to Little Neck Road on the dump. He showed me exactly where he was in that pile with his arm hanging out, lifeless, gray, and there's blood, in a bag that looked like it used to be like a bluish purple color, and he's throwing up blood. After I closed out the seance, I prayed, and I said, I wish you peace, and to pass on peacefully, you'll get the justice you need. Okay, I prayed, closed it out. That was that. Blew out the candle, turned on the lights, and my hoverboard that both my son had, that was completely destroyed because he took it through a mud puddle. When you take a hoverboard, electric hoverboard through a mud puddle, it's done. It started turning on and off by itself and moving, even though it's completely done for, and I've tried charging it and nothing.
And what date was this?
What day was that? That was, to be honest with you, is sometime in November of 2022. I don't know the exact date. I do not.
So this was after they announced they found remains in the landfill?
No. This is actually before the indictment report came out. I had the dream, which I told them already, but yes. Okay.
So it was in November, correct?
Roughly, maybe the end of October. It's in that time area. I also had a major craniotomy that year, so my memory's a little...
What's a craniotomy?
Where you have to have a major brain surgery. They take your skull off,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you had a craniotomy?
I did.
And you told all this to Mr. Dean?
To Mr. Yes.
Mr. Dean. That's all the questions I have.
Melanie, is it fair to say that I brought you into my office to talk about concrete things that you heard the defendant say over the years about Quinton?
Yes.
Okay. And that you volunteered the information about the seance, right?
I did. Because I don't know if you guys recognize that kind of stuff or not.
And do you remember me telling you, well, I have to tell the defense about this because it's a thing you've said as a witness, but that it's seance information is not admissible in court?
Exactly, yes, sir.
And do you remember acknowledging pretty even-handedly that you understand that not everybody believes in these things.
I do, and that's why I didn't want to speak upon it like that. Yes, sir.
Now, you've said that you had a Bible with you while you were doing this,
Yes.
and it was a Christian Bible.
Yes, sir. I was baptized and raised as a Christian.
Do you remain a practicing Christian?
I sure do, sir.
Do you consider this some sort of a prayer practice, what you're describing?
Yes, sir. I mean, in a way,
Do you consider it a private matter?
a private matter. Yes.
How does it feel to come into court and essentially get made fun of for it?
You to be honest with you, it's kind of embarrassing because, like you said, not everybody believes in this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, I was born with a gift that I call a curse.
Now, does any of this have anything to do with the things that you heard her say about her son, both before and after his birth?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Bowling, you're willing to hold yourself up to ridicule to get justice for Quinton, aren't you?
Excuse me?
Said you're willing to hold yourself up to public ridicule to get justice for Quinton, aren't you?
I guess so. I'm here to get justice for him, so.
What aren't you willing to do for Quinton's justice?
Well, I've done everything I can possibly for his justice.
Thank you so much.
Anything further from the state?
No, no.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, that was interesting. I wrote a lot down.
Hey, Mr. Dean,
that cross.
has it been about an hour?
That cross exam about the
Yeah.
seance has
I was
really.
thinking that.
That cross exam about the seance
Get a
has
motion
really.
for getting a sign for timeout, and I was
Alright.
thinking we've been going at it for a while now. You probably due for a break. Ms. Parker.
Your Honor, I was just going to let the court know that our next witness may be lengthy. She's here, we can call her, but I wanted the court to be aware that it may require us to go after 5 o'clock. So just letting the court know to decide timing.
All right. I'm inclined to hear this witness today, but let's take a break. It's 4:16. Let's break until 4:30.
You're exiting?
Okay, so they'll be back at 4:16. So that means, wait. Oh, that means I need to fast forward. I am very late. Oh wait, no, I'm live.
As a matter of fact, let's make it 4:35.
She's going. I can
Instead
feed
of
already.
4:30.
I can feed already. She's going. So while they're going on their break, I am going to just share my opinions in regards to this particular case. And it's as simple as this. It's as simple as this because based on the testimony that came out throughout this day, right? I'm going to based on the testimony that came out today from Paul Simon, and also Melissa Bright. We are gonna go from the top. So Melissa Bright, her testimony was mainly mainly in regards to she is Misty's. She is the one, as they call Misty, right? So Melissa Bright came in and offered a testimony that she did not actually, in fact, she being Leilani Simon, she did not actually, in fact, come to get a oral gel from her, but she had actually come to get gas instead because her car is stalled. And because the car is stalled, she was asking for gas. So what did she do when she got the gas? She went and asked the building manager, I believe she said, for the gas, and gave it to her. And she sent a text message, because they never kept in contact afterwards. She sent a text message to Leilani Simon a few days after, or maybe a couple of days afterwards, where she was asking her, where is the gas, because it wasn't hers. So this was there was no redirect on this one. There was only cross-exam, which just basically confirmed everything that she said. And that is what sealed it for me, because I'm like, this was your main defense, and she just basically gave a completely different version to what you said, and gave a most likely version, which was you asking for gas because your car had broken down. Now, how did she get? The question now becomes, how did she get her hands on the Orojo? It's very simple. You can buy it. You can pretty much buy it from the counter, or you can pretty much get it from the pediatrician, not the pediatrician, from the tooth doctor or dentist. That's the one. Thank you. Tooth doctor. What was I thinking? That you can pretty much get it from the dentist where she was at. She could have got it from there and just put it in a car and just wanted to go to 204. And then when she got back, she puts it's very easily explained away that it's bad for this witness was horrible for the defense, because it pretty much sealed the case in our minds, for me anyway. So they had the Dr. Amanda Pontus, as well as who else did they have? Dr. Amanda Pontus and Dr. Kenneth Birch, who were the pediatrician. They were trying to basically give the impression to the jury that it's possible that Quinton had just died instantly from this heart murmur. So they were trying to establish that, but really and truly, these doctors were like, no, it's not possible that it had happened that way. It's very, very rare for something like that to happen. But again, we don't have short memories. I remember back in yesterday's day 3 direct exam, where it was even confirmed that that there was trauma found on the bones, on the remains, by the archaeologist or anthropologist, or what you might call her, I don't know. But she, let me actually go up. Day 3, I believe her name was Andrew Christensen. That's the one. Let me go to it. So Andrew Christensen, she basically established that from the remains that there was trauma on the bones, because that's how because she was able to tell, because the body goes through a healing process once it gets hit by so once it gets hit, or there is some kind of trauma, it starts healing itself. So she went through that expertly yesterday. So I'm just not gonna forget that, right? And just because we now have pediatrician, they're trying to argue that the heart murmur, etc., that she just died from, that never flew with me. That never made sense to me. So on top of that, after that came Paul Simon, who was the brother to Leilani Simon, and what he basically had to say was basically that he had moved into the house a couple of months before, like 4 months before the incident or something like that, and he would witness Leilani arguing with Danny all the time, and also arguing with the mother sometimes as well, and that Danny would complain of her, and then he would say to him to just leave. Like, he never understood why he couldn't just leave if she was causing him so much heartache. And from my notes here, she says on the 5th of October, he says that he had heard yelling, and says that Lonnie was a complete wreck while while Danny, sorry, that Leilani was a complete wreck, while Danny was not really uh, phased, but was concerned. Like he was concerned as if he was the one that was going to be in trouble, which I mean, it kind of makes sense because he was the one that was doing the drugs around Danny. So sorry, around Quinton and the kids as well, as he admitted to when he was understanding in day three, even though he said that he would hide the drugs in the top of the cupboard, that he was more worried. And yeah, like I said, it makes sense why he would be worried, because he is now worried that Quinton may have climbed up that cupboard to pick up the drugs, or even just in the state that he was normally in, because he would drink a lot and he would do a lot of drugs, that he may have done something. So that's why he was worried, but he had an alibi. You see, he was actually at work for these days, so there's no way that he could have done this even if he tried, which is why they brought in David Mullen, who was the warehouse manager, to go through the shift patterns, which makes sense because, again, he was working through the shifts onto the 5th when he had to take work off. Only Leilani had taken time off because of the tooth problem on the 3rd. So she never came into work on the 5th. That was firmly established. So we now understand why it was important to get David Mullen in and show everyone who was working, and it shows why the police did not consider that Danny, even though it would make sense that it would be him. He had an alibi. He was not even anywhere near when this child was reported missing. So on cross-examination, that's when Paul Simon reveals that Danny wasn't phased, and he was worried about getting in trouble, and says that Danny drank daily and Leilani smoked weed, and he goes on to offer this part by himself, saying that he didn't, that all he did was weed, and he was very adamant that if he saw these guys doing other sort of drugs, like Class A drugs, like baking soda or Percocet or anything like that, if they were doing those things, they knew that he would report them to the mom, so they would hide from him, which explains why Danny would store in the cupboard, away from, not just away from the kids, but also away from being caught, and they would be very, very careful in how they procure these narcotics. So, and then we just had the latest witness, Melanie, because her testimony, she shook me, man. Her testimony actually shook me. But I wonder how the jury are going to take that cross-exam, because that cross-exam, I will admit, it kind of made her direct exam look a bit kooky. But that doesn't change. It doesn't change. It made her direct exam. It depends how you view it. Because that cross where she mentioned the seance, etc. Even though on redirect, it says that they firmly established that this was her own personal opinion, that she did not even want to share this, and and it was something that she knows not everyone believes in, and it was after the whole incident as well. So it's not like this was before the incident or this was during that same month, close to the incident. It's just something that she felt, and she understood. Even though they went through that, the recross was quite good in my opinion, because this is where he came in to say, but you say anything, right? Because you want justice for Quinton. You say anything. It's like, and she accepted. She accepted that she does want justice for Quinton, but she maintained that everything she said was the truth. Like because she said that Leilani would shout in her direct. She said that Leilani would shout at Quinton, and would show everyone else more preference, or she would show Quinton a deference. You know, like she had a vendetta against Quinton. And to be honest, I believe this because again, she made the Google search. She made that Google search about Quinton. You know what I mean, on the 1st of October. This corroborates that because she doesn't really like you know, like she said that what was said here was she said she would say that Quinton is a bastard child, and would also say that I wish I never had you, and wish she had an abortion, knowing from the Leilani that we have come to know in these 4 days. This does make sense because we've seen how she texts, we've seen how she talks. We even watched the unaliving video that she sent to Danny. She never mentioned Quinton. She mentioned Zane, and she mentioned the little girl. I forgot her name just now. I just forgot her name. Damn it! And it's a simple name as well. It'll come out to me. It'll come out to me. Or it's always going to mention later on. But we saw the video. She never mentions Quinton at all. I will always go back to that because I never heard. Maybe she says Q, but I never heard her give a monologue in regards to Quinton. And you know, and when that happens, yeah, it's very hard to come back from that. It's very hard to come back from that because, and she also goes on to add that she would get angry, saying that she would beat him if he wouldn't listen to her, and says that she would whoop them, meaning what I assume to mean by them is the kids in general, but she doesn't know, or she can't attest to how she would do it. But she said that she felt differently about Quinton compared to the other two children, and would praise Zane, saying that, oh wow, you've done your ABCs, you've done all this, you're growing quickly, but she would never do that for Quinton. And then of course she goes, of course the cross-exam where she shares this seance, kind of cast doubt a bit. I don't think it does, in my opinion. I don't think the cross-exam, I think it's a bit weird to hear in court about her having a seance where the child said that the mother hit her. I think that's a bit weird to have that, especially after the death. But based on the trauma and all of that, like, you know, because she had been watching a trial. Now that question comes up because she had been watching a trial, and I've been following. If so, then she would have known that there was trauma found on the bones of the child from day 3. Maybe this is what they were trying to establish in the recross, that she would do anything to get justice for her, because this is being televised. So is it possible? Are the jury thinking like I am? Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea. But if that thought does enter a juror's mind, it might help to acquit her. But again, it doesn't move the needle for the defense too much. This testimony, it doesn't move the needle for the defense. It does greatly impact, and does have a lot more impact for the prosecution, in my opinion, because it is already established firmly that who she is. They have done a good job establishing the fact that she had already changed her story. I don't think you can just put this witness on the stand and then it disavows all of that. I mean, the fact that she lied about Misty is a lot. It's already a lot. So having this defendant up there is like KO. If they were to disregard our testimony directly, I think they will just default back to Misty. They will just default back to what Melissa Bright was testifying to. They would default back to David Mullen, if they can remember the timesheet, etc., giving the alibi for Danny. They have closed that door completely. They can fall back to so many other witnesses, especially Marion Lemons, who made sure to really do a thorough investigation. I mean, again, we have seen trials in which investigations are not as thorough as this one. They have even looked at the Dodge Chargers media system, where, if you remember, in Karen Reed, they didn't even do this. They didn't even look into her vehicle to ensure to see the data from it. And because because in this investigation, because they did do that, they did look into the vehicle, they can safely close the book and say there was no data that came from that. They've done the Google searches. They found that Google search of her saying, if I can remember it, what did the Google search say? Let me try and go back to. Is it common for the mother to have resentment towards a child? Again, that Google search is it's bad. It's bad. It's just bad. So I don't think there's a way back from for her from this. I really don't. I think the only hope that she has, if there's anything I could give to her, is she will need to bring somebody that would corroborate, at least if it's not from Misty, right? It'll be somebody else that could at least corroborate her getting the jail from them or something like that. Maybe not Misty directly, but someone close to Misty, and she just had a memory lapse or something like that. If that's or she can just get on the stand and just testify for herself. But who knows at this point? She's already spoke so much to the detectives that it's kind of pointless for her to go on the stand. But based on the police interviews and based on that, it's not you can't, it's hard to believe her. It's really hard to believe her because the police were really thorough with this. They done their homework. They tried to get information from the Watsons, Craig Watson. He wasn't forthcoming. He wouldn't he wouldn't speak to them, and I don't think they're gonna testify either. So yeah, so damn. So I'm going to take a quick break while I'm going to take a quick break while they're on break. So yeah, we're going to be right back. We're going to be right back after this. Let me just take my break right about now, and then we'll be back.
And during those times, did you ever see her treat him in a way that upset you?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about any of those times?
With the console, like the PlayStation remote control, when she said that Quinton had got a hold of it, and it was the night before, and I guess she still got mad talking about it, so she pushed him down.
Okay, let's break that down a little bit. Where were you when this push happened?
She was by the tiki bar, and I was by, closer towards the pool, where the little step is.
Okay, so whose house were you at?
Billy Joe's.
Okay. You're out back between the tiki bar area and the pool.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was it that caused Leilani to push Quinton?
She got mad because he had supposedly broken the controller to her PS4.
Okay. And how did this come up?
When I walked up, I asked her if I could get Quinton, and she said yes, please take him. And then she just led off the conversation because he got a hold. I'm pretty sure she said it was her brother's controller, and he was going to be mad at her.
And what time of day was this?
I'm going to say around 2.
Okay. In the afternoon, I presume?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You said you came up. Where were you coming from?
I was coming from my mom's house.
And where was Leilani?
Leilani was outside.
Okay. In the back there?
Yes, sir.
And where was Quinton?
Quinton was inside.
Okay. And you said you were coming over to see if you could get Quinton.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by that?
I know the night before her and Danny was arguing or something, and she had called my phone to see if I could come get him, and it was like around 4 in the morning, and I told her I wasn't allowed at the house that late, and I didn't want to wake my mom up. She had work the next morning, but I would be over there the next day to grab him for my sister.
Did you say she called you or she texted you? I didn't catch that.
She called me.
Okay. She called you at like 4 in the morning and asked you to come take Quinton?
Yes, sir.
And why did she want you to do that?
She was getting aggravated with him.
Okay. So it's the next day that you went over to get him?
Yes, sir.
And what were you going to do with him?
I was going to grab him and take him over to our house.
All right. And is that something that you would do from time to time? Come get him and just take him?
Every day.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Was he like your buddy?
Sir?
Was he like your buddy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you come up, you said Quinton's inside, and Leilani is out back by the pool, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were there to get Quinton.
Yes, sir.
And at some point you pushed him.
Yes, sir.
At what point did he go from being inside to outside?
He had walked up because the door, you could see through it, so he had walked up and put his hands and his mouth against the door, and he was happy. And she opened the door, she put the door handle and she pushed it open, and she was continuing telling me the story. And Quinton started saying bubbles. He wanted bubbles. And she pushed him, took her hand and pushed the middle of his chest and pushed him.
And what was the bubbles thing about? He said he wanted bubbles?
He loved bubbles.
Okay. Are you talking about like soap bubbles that you blow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When she pushed him, what did she use to push him with first?
Her hand.
And where did she put her hand on his body?
Right here, in the middle.
And at that point, her hand's on his chest, and what does she do?
She pushes him.
And what happened to him when she pushed him?
He falls on his butt.
And what did he do?
He looked at me and held his arms out and started crying. And I told Leilani that upsetted me.
And what did you do it? You okay?
I'm good, I'm sorry.
When he fell, what part of his body hit? Did he fall on the ground, I guess?
Yes, sir. His tush hit the floor.
Okay. And you said he started crying and reached out his arms to you.
Yes, sir.
Did you pick him up?
Yes, sir.
And did you say anything to Leilani?
I told her that wasn't necessary because it happened last night, but she should have talked to him first.
And what happened from there?
I took him. I walked him home with me. I don't know what she did after.
So you've talked about that one push. Was there anything else that you remember that was like that?
The pool incident.
What's the pool incident?
It was me and my sister, and I believe 2 of my nephews with me over at her pool swimming. And Zane had got in the pool, and Quinton wanted in there. And I was fixing to go grab Quinton to put him in there, but instead of her listening to me tell her, hold on, let me get his floaty on, she just full on pushed him in the pool.
Pushed him with what?
Her hand.
And where on his body did she make contact with him?
The back.
Like middle of the back, upper back, lower back?
The middle. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And she just pushed him into the pool?
Yes, sir.
And he didn't have any floaties on, it sounds like?
No, sir.
Okay. Was he able to swim at this point?
No, sir.
What happened once he was pushed into the pool?
He went underwater, and when he came back out, he caught his breath, trying to catch his breath, and then he started crying.
Was he coughing or anything?
Yes, sir.
And how did Leilani react to that?
She said she really didn't care because if Zane could learn how to swim, then Quinton needed to be as smart as Zane.
Now, what did you do when Quinton came up and was coughing and crying?
I looked at my sister and I told her I'm going home, and then that's when I asked Leilani, I said, can I take Quinton home? She said, yes, I don't care.
And how were you feeling at that point?
I was mad because wondering in my head how she could push him in the pool knowing without any floaties and knowing he can't swim at all.
How was Quinton as you were walking home with him? Did you dry him off or anything first? Or
I did dry him off. I wrapped him in a towel and he laid his head on my shoulder.
And what happened when you got home?
When I got home, I had put a pull-up on him and he went and laid on the couch with his teddy bear.
And did you lay on the couch with him, or did you just leave him alone, or what?
I went to go fix him some juice and then I laid on the couch with him.
How long did y'all lay there?
About 2 hours because he had fell asleep. Yes, sir.
Did you take a nap there with him?
No, sir, because I was afraid I was going to squish him if I fell asleep with him.
Anything else you remember that was like those two things?
Other than her getting mad at him with the stairs and stuff.
Tell me about that.
It was one night when I went over there and she was smoking. She had went upstairs and she was talking to me about Quinton's father. And she said she don't know how Quinton could look so much like his dad when she's the one that gave birth to him. And I said, well, I don't know, because I didn't want to really get into that kind of stuff. It wasn't my problem. And she just kept going on about it, and Quinton was down the stairs. And I said, Leilani, he needs help down the stairs because I had Sky in my hands. And she said, he's a big boy, he can do it. I said, no, he can't, because her stairs in Billy Joe's house was kind of weird. And I said, he needs help. She said, no, he doesn't. And Quinton just continues to roll.
Are you talking about the stairs to the second floor?
Yes, sir.
You said Quinton continues to roll. What do you mean?
He tripped on the first one, and he starts rolling down. And I hand her Sky, and I grab Quinton.
How was Quinton when you picked him up?
He was fine. He really didn't cry.
Anything else you remember that was like that?
No, sir.
All right. You mentioned that incident started with her asking or wondering how he could look so much like his father. What was her voice like when she was saying that? I mean, she sounded happy, angry, sad.
She sounded angry.
Do you remember if you seem like a pretty mild-mannered person?
Yes, sir.
But if I asked you to tell me what it sounded like when she said it, would you be able to do that, or not?
Yes, sir. You want the whole, just how she said it?
Yeah.
When I walked in, she was like, hey, I got a question. I said, yes. And she said, how the F could Quinton look just like his daddy? I'm the one that gave birth to him. And I said, I don't know, Leilani, I really don't know. She said, Zane's been my number one since he was born, and Quinton's just sitting there and useless.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Do you remember telling us last week about an incident where Leilani hit Quinton in the face? I think backhanded was the word you used.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember telling us about that?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about that now?
From the beginning, correct?
Yeah.
Zane and Quinton was out in the street. I was walking to the shed, because that's where our laundry room that is.
Were you at your house at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said you have a laundry room in the shed.
Yes, sir.
So what were you walking out to the shed to do?
Do my chores, which was transfer the clothes from the washer into the dryer.
And at what point did you see Zane and Quinton?
When I was going towards the shed.
And what were they doing?
They were by the mailboxes on the other side of the road, going inside the ditch.
Okay. Were they in the road or next to the road or what?
They were in the road.
Okay. And were there any adults with them?
No, sir.
What time of day was this?
It was a little bit in the morning. I'm gonna say around 11 or 12.
Okay. And when you saw them out there, what did you do?
I ran
Ran where?
to get Quinton and Zane.
And what happened next?
As I was going to get them, there was a white car passing with a lady inside of it.
I'm sorry to stop you. I don't mean to interrupt you because you asked from the beginning and I did say yes, right?
Yes, sir.
But I don't want you to tell us anything about what anybody said to you other than things that the defendant said to you, okay?
Yes, sir.
So let's skip the white car part, all right? So after the white car drove by, what happened next?
I took the kids back to my mom's house. My mom told me to take them to Leilani's. So,
Don't testify about anything anybody else said.
Yes, sir.
Okay? All right, thank you.
Okay, so you went back to your house and you said at some point did you take them back to Leilani's house?
Yes, sir.
And why did you do that?
My mom told me to.
Okay. And where did you take them when you took them back?
I took them when I entered. It was behind where the pool part is, the
Okay.
back.
So you
Yes, sir.
walked around the back
Yes, sir.
and you had both of the kids with you at this point?
Yes, sir.
What happened from there?
I kept knocking on the door. Leilani would not answer. And I kept banging and banging. I just continued to bang until she answered. She came outside. And I said, Leilani, Quinton and them was on the road. And she was asleep. And instead of her taking knowledge of what she had done and wasn't awake with them, she just backhanded Quinton in the face.
Can you describe that in a little more detail? What did it look like?
She raised her hand all the way back, and she just backhanded him. When she did, his head hit the concrete.
Where on his face did her hand hit him?
Right here.
And you're gesturing, I gotta say this for the court reporter and the transcript and all that, you're gesturing towards like your cheekbone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said that this knocked him down?
Yes, sir.
Did she hit him hard?
Yes, sir.
And when he fell down, what happened?
I looked at her, and then he started crying. He got up. When I lifted him up, he got up, and he ran to me, and he started pointing to my mom's house.
Did you say that his head hit the concrete out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he ran to you, and you said he started pointing?
Yes, sir. Pointing directions to my mom's house.
Were you holding him at that point, or was he still on the ground, or what?
I think it was after a minute I did pick him up. Yes, sir.
Okay. And his pointing towards your house, what did you take that to mean?
I knew he wanted to go with me, but Leilani wanted them to stay.
Okay. Did you take him home?
I believe I took Quinton home because she didn't want me taking Zane home.
Were there any other incidents you remember that involved the defendant, Leilani, pushing him, hitting him, or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. Was there anything that you heard, other than what you've already mentioned, and you've talked about some of this stuff, was there anything that you ever heard her say that caused you to believe that she didn't like Quinton or didn't feel the same way about him that she felt about Zane.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about those things, that if the ones that you haven't mentioned yet?
Yes, sir. She would call me over there and ask if she could talk to me. And I would go over there and she would just complain about Quinton, how Quinton wasn't like Zane, he wasn't smart like Zane, and that the only reason that she loved Zane and she didn't love Quinton is because Zane's been through everything with her and Quinton hasn't been through nothing.
Did she ever point blank tell you anything about whether she had any feelings of love or affection towards Quinton at all?
Yes, sir. She told me she did not love him at all.
She said that to you.
Yes, sir.
Where was that when she said that?
We was on the back porch. He was in on the back porch. There's like a play area with a gate.
Is that with the brown couch in it and the slide and stuff like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And who was, you were out there and Quinton, was Quinton out there?
I was in the plaything with Quinton and she was by the tiki bar.
Okay. How did that come up, that she's saying that about Quinton at that time?
She was mad at Danny.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And how did it get on to Quinton and saying that about Quinton?
Because Quinton was making noises with his mouth and saying he was calling out for Danny. He kept saying, Danny, Danny. And she kept getting mad about that.
She was mad at Danny at the time?
Yes, sir.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
And Quinton was calling out for Danny?
Yes, sir.
And that's what led up to her saying that thing about Quinton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did Quinton ever stay the night at your house?
Oh, yes, sir.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, sir. We would have Quinton for weeks at a time at our house. She never called to check on Quinton. But we never complained about it because we really enjoyed Quinton being at our house, being able to love on him. And
this is a damning the damning direct from Leilani's sister. Of course, she has been anonymized for this.
Sorry.
For
You
this.
miss him?
yes, sir.
Think you're ready to be done with this now?
It doesn't matter. I'm fine.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were there times where Quinton would sleep over at your house, but the other kids wouldn't?
Yes, sir.
How did that come about? How did that happen?
When Leilani would say she's coming to pick up the kids, she would be like, oh, I'm coming, or Danny's coming to pick up the kids. Quinton would never want to go when it was her. So she was like, he could just stay here, it's fine.
How was Danny with Quinton and the kids?
Danny loved the kids a lot. He was good with them. He treated them how they were supposed to be treated.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Let's see how you clean this up. If you can clean it up, guys.
Em, the last time you were asked to talk about these incidents with us, you noted that these incidents happened in May, June, and July of 2022. Is that correct?
I didn't say. I said I didn't know the exact months.
Okay, well, the different incidents we've talked about.
Yes, sir.
All the incidents that you named, can you tell me when they happened?
No, sir, I cannot.
Okay. And when you saw them happen, the things that you've described here in court, did you call anybody like the police?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you call anybody like DFAX to report Leilani?
No, sir, I did not.
The PlayStation controller push you described, he fell back on his bottom.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you see any kind of a bruise or a mark or a cut or anything on Quinton as a result of the push you say you saw?
Not at the time, no, sir.
And the pool incident, obviously that was in the warmer months, but you can't say when that happened either, can you?
I know it was in summer sometime, but I don't know the exact month.
Okay. And in Savannah, summer can be a pretty long time.
Yes, sir.
Same question as before. Did you call the police about it, or DFACS, or any authority to report Leilani Simon?
No, sir, I did not.
The stairs incident, I think he went down the stairs and you got to him, but he didn't cry, did he?
Not for long. He didn't really let out a long one.
And you didn't see any marks or injuries or bruises?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, what kind?
It was a bruise on right here by his head.
Okay. Now the roadway incident,
Yes, sir.
okay. As I understand it, you were at your house and you saw the boys out there near the road.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you went there, actually you ran to them, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
Because you recognized kids in a roadway with cars going by can be a very dangerous situation, can't it?
Yes, sir.
And it can be very upsetting.
Yes, sir.
And you knocked on the door but couldn't get an answer right.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any idea how Zane and Quinton then got out of the house on their own?
Zane knew how to open doors.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And right now, in recounting these different incidents, you can't give an exact date about when they happened, can you?
No, sir, I cannot.
And we've already established you didn't call the police about it, call any authority or any DFACS to report what happened.
No, sir, I did not.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
When these things would happen, was there anybody you tell?
I would tell my mom.
No further questions.
Ms. McCarter, you're excused.
Thank you.
Mr. Dean, you may call your next witness. Is this the witness that's expected to take some time?
Yes, ma'am.
On second thought, maybe we'll take a stop.
Okay. Bring the cords back in.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to excuse you for the evening. We're going to reconvene tomorrow morning at 9:00 a.m. I think by now you know the routine. I will instruct you not to discuss the case, not to do any research, not to allow anyone to discuss the case around you. Please do not consume any media regarding this case. All right. And with that, you're excused.
Jurors exiting.
All right, and that is the end of the stream. That is the end of the court, I should say, not stream. So, wow, explosive cross-examination that is right there, and that is So that was I did not expect that cross-examination. Sorry, not cross-examination, direct examination. I did not expect that at all. Because I didn't think that the court was that quickly back in session. But even so, like the fee started a bit late, so there were some details that was missed. But for what I was able to catch, the sister of Leilani was testifying to being pushed, to Quinton being pushed by Leilani, and after this push, Quinton had held out his arms towards her and was crying, and at this moment the sister was also crying as well. She was also testified that she would throw the PlayStation controller at at Quinton as well. All of this, she says that there was a pool incident with Quinton, and she puts Quinton in the pool without the floaties on. This is very harrowing because that child could drown, but luckily the pool wasn't that deep, and all the child was doing was like crying and basically stuff. From what I'm gathering, I don't think the pool was that deep anyway. So, and Leilani was saying, and on top of that, she was saying that Leilani was saying that if Zane knew how to swim, then then he should learn. And she said that she doesn't care when the sister offered to take Quinton home with her. Leilani was also mad at Quinton for looking so much like his dad, which again, all of this is tying right back to that Google search. This is why I can't remember exactly what she said after is it common for the mother to have about resentment towards the child. I don't know what she said about the father part. I missed that, but this is all going right back to that. It keeps reminding me of the Google search, and even a cross exam they could not even save it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, and said, so Leilani was mad at Quinton for looking so much like his dad, and said that Zane was her number one. She will complain. She'll complain how she liked Zane because he had been for a lot with Zane, and Quinton hasn't been through anything. She also says that she doesn't love Quinton. This came out because she kept calling out to Danny, and this made her mad. This does make sense as well in context with the fact that she was mad at Danny because she was thinking that Danny was cheating on her with someone else. So again, the fact that on the living video she doesn't mention Quinton at all, that stuck out to me, and that still stuck out to me till today, because she doesn't care for this child, and everything is pointing towards this. It wasn't a random death. This was complete. I'm sold in my eyes, because the cross exam, they did try to go into the incident, but Leilani's sister could not remember exactly when it was, but supposedly it's May, June, and July that these incidents had occurred, and they had also established that she didn't call the authorities when this was happening. But again, I mean, just to even use your brain here for a second, you wouldn't call the authorities on your sister. This is not your business at all. Like, I mean, some people will take that stance, is what I'm trying to say. Some people will take that stance that this is none of their business, which is why on redirect it came out to say that she had reported to the mother what had happened, which makes more sense. Like, you will report to the mother rather than the authorities, because you still, this is your sister. You don't want to get her in trouble. So, over her own children. So it's not looking good for the defense. And this was like what like it's over at this point. It's literally KO. It's literally KO. At this point, like, every blow landed, and boy, there's no coming back from that. That testimony was very, very strong, and I think it will leave a lasting impression in the jurors' minds, as they go out. So I'm gonna end it there. Thank you so much, everyone that tuned in for today's trial watch. I will not be doing one tomorrow, because I have got prior engagements to attend to, so there'll be no trial watch tomorrow. But we will do a catch up stream on Sunday, as well as we will do a catch up stream on Sunday. So hopefully we'll be able to catch up with what was missed today in a quicker format, and zoom through it, and hopefully we don't miss much on what's happening today. So there'll be no stream tomorrow, but yeah, take good care of yourselves. Thank you so much for rocking with me on this particular stream. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye now. The show is over, but that does not mean that the fun has to end. And I know how cliche that sounds, but really and truly, the fun really does not have to end. You know how good our streams are and how fun they can be. So we have decided to put them all into a podcast and a playlist format for you to binge on if you so wish. We also do recaps and clips of the best bits, the worst bits, all of those bits, lady bits, every bit, whatever it might be. We do that as well, and we upload onto the channel so in case you guys just wanna you don't wanna watch the full thing, you have the option of watching just the short versions. It's up to you. You have the choice. You have the power, like E-Man. So without further, you can also check out the main Heinz website where we continue the discussions over there, but in a more broader context to try and get into the psychology of why all these things happen. The end screen should be up here so that you guys can see the content you guys can watch. The playlist will be on your left hand side or right hand side, I don't know which one, and the video that and a recap clip should pop up here. So without further, I'll just say bye, and I'll see you on the next stream, and most importantly, the Unintentional Juror podcast. See you there.